Welcome to Rooted Within with Lili and Dan, a podcast that shines a spotlight on positive change makers, sharing their stories of legacy, inspiration, and impact.
Dan.
Good afternoon, Lili. How are you?
It doesn't work if you try and say Lili first, because if you do, it's just going to completely combobulate us.
Combobulate? Is that what you just said?
Combobulate. Have you not heard that word before?
I have never heard of that word.
It's when your brain combobulates. Sort of like what's happening to our guests right now going, where am I? Who are these people?
And why are we combobulating? This is so random. Anyway, we often go off on a tangent. So before we do, I'm going to invite Boris Carreau. I tried to say it with a French accent, but no, the pure mank comes out. Welcome.
Thank you, Dan.
So to Rooted Within, to our podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you guys.
It's good to have you here.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you guys haven't seen each other in a while, or you've reconnected recently?
Personally, we saw each other at an event a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I saw you at the STEP conference. It was like through the Marketing Society.
True, Marketing Society that was, yeah.
But like in general, no, because I knew you 10 plus years ago when you were working with Adidas through Samina.
Something like
was it really that long ago?
Yeah, it was 10 years ago, yeah.
Oh, a lot has changed since then, which we're going to get into, I think, in this episode.
Less white hair, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
You have less white hair now, you have more.
I'd go with less. It's less now.
I've
less
got
hair
more. Or less hair. I think you said less white hair. I'm going to say I've got more white hair. I'm going really grey right now.
Well, I actually got the hairdresser to she came to pull one out. I go, no, cut it.
Get rid.
Cut. If you pull, no.
It's kind of
apparently it grows more.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's not about us. It's about our guest. So I guess, tell a little bit about yourself. And yeah, because obviously I knew you from the Adidas days, but I'm sure there's a story before then and where you're at right now.
Yeah, true. So my name is Boris Carreau in a French accent.
There we go. And you say it really well. You say it like a proper French person.
Is French.
I have 40 years of experience in my name, so a bit less, I would say. But so I'm French, obviously. I grew up in North Africa, actually. Grew up in Algeria, where my parents were expats there for a couple of years. Before moving to France when I was 3 years old and lived a long time in France.
So you weren't born in France?
I was born in France, but then my parents flew back to Algeria straight away when I was like 15 days, something like this. So I was like super young. I don't recall anything from this time.
I was going to say, did you have any memories?
No, not much.
No.
Well, I have, but I don't know if it's coming from my actual brain. Or the stories and the pictures and everything. But I stayed like in France for like many, many years in Lyon, so next to, not far from Geneva, which is important for the next part of the story. I did a business school in France, studied in the UK as well, London a little bit, in Germany a little bit as well. Did some internships like pretty much everywhere in Europe as well, which was pretty cool.
Well, what were your internships?
I worked in a hotel in Germany because I wanted to learn German back then, which was like mission impossible.
Can you speak German now?
Ambition, yeah.
Okay.
Just a little bit. Give me some beer. I speak a better.
Of course. I think with everybody.
Everyone becomes fluent in German.
I'm fluent in Spanish after a few drinks.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Anything. Korean a bit as well.
There you go.
Who knows? And then I eventually started my career in Geneva. I was working for a recruitment agency.
How'd you go from...
Yeah, it's pretty random. My objective by then, when you live in Lyon, you know that actually working in Geneva is actually a good deal because salaries are higher, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. The quality of life is pretty cool. So the lake, the mountains, it's pretty chill.
It's beautiful
as well. Yeah, and my objective back then was to work in the watch industry.
Okay.
So, just try to get a job there.
But why the watch industry?
I think it's because of the product, the storytelling behind the brands as well, and I don't really know actually, but that was something that was really triggering my attention.
Because that's something obviously like you do. You're a marketeer. You tell stories for brands.
Yeah, I try at least,
Yeah.
but
you do.
That was the idea, to work for one of those big brands based in Geneva, and I really tried a lot, but it would be
a very solid career, like quite a stable career if you got into that field, right?
I think I would still be there probably.
Yeah.
But who knows? It's also good also to travel the world for some other reasons. So, but eventually I got a job in a recruitment agency, one of the big guys out there. I was interning there. I was actually hiring, recruiting for marketing jobs and doing some stuff like this. It's a long time ago. It's 2006. And the challenge I had is that all the cool jobs that I was seeing, I was actually more interested by those jobs than what I was doing back then. Yeah. So eventually I managed to get a job at Ralph Lauren, and they had their European headquarters based in Geneva. So that was pretty cool to work for Ralph Lauren there in marketing. So stayed Stayed a few years there.
But
4
how'd
years
you
now.
make that transition to go from HR to marketing?
It was, yeah, if you know, it was I was young. I was I just graduated. So at this stage, I think it's an easy one because you're like a sponge. You can learn and you start from
And it's
the
entry
very
level.
bottom as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it was just an opportunity. I was very lucky. I got the job, to be honest. And when I told my parents, it was actually an internship as well at Ralph Lauren. And I told my parents, well, I'm not going to stay in the recruitment agency. And they were offering me like a real job back then. And I said, I don't want that. I'm going to get an internship for Ralph Lauren. They were like, are you kidding me?
Are you mad?
Get the contract, get the salary, don't do it. I was like, no, I don't feel like it. Moving to the fashion world and totally by accident, to be honest. And
would you consider yourself fashionable at the time? Were you interested in fashion?
Not at all. Not at all. I had no interest in fashion. Yeah, like a very basic interest, I would say. But
I mean, it's a very interesting industry.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And I think I was very lucky because I was working in a small department. The marketing department was really tiny. And the atmosphere was amazing. So my colleagues were amazing. They're still friends. We're still friends. You know, like most of them came to my wedding a couple of years ago. Most of them left also Geneva. Most of them left Ralph Lauren. But it's really good. You know, we still have a very strong connection together. Yeah. And I think it shaped a lot of who I am today to be working with those guys who were like older than me as well. I was kind of the young kid, you know, like on the team, and they helped me a lot, honestly, to do.
How did they shape you?
I think by teasing me a lot, I would say. And yeah, just like showing me that, you know, it was not only about what you're really working on, but being curious about like the importance of culture as well.
Yeah.
Some I would say like Mathieu, Thomas, if you'll be listening to that as well at some point, like they were sharing a lot about like the culture impact, music, art, fashion, entertainment, and I got into it a lot afterwards, and now I really love it. For the past like 15 years, I've loved it now, and that helped a lot. So yeah, I worked 4 years and a half at Ralph, which was great for me. So I was in charge at the end I was in charge of the kids line of Ralph Lauren, which was quite fun. I was the only boy within like a girl environment also, which was quite fun. And also quite young again compared to the others. Yeah. And at some point, you know, I was with my girlfriend who became my wife afterwards. And we're like, okay, we're in Geneva, good life, simple, you know, can't complain about our salary, can't complain about anything, family next door, friends. But I think that was not enough, you know, especially me. I wanted to travel the world again. I wanted to do something else. So started to explore, let's say, some opportunities internally
What was the not enough feeling?
I think this sentiment of being in your comfort zone, you know, a bit too much, and you want to challenge a bit yourself a bit more as well.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. Do I see myself doing this for the next 40 years?
I guess in Geneva you can be quite comfortable. It's a great standard of living.
Yeah. You can. There's a lot of people who just stay there for a long time, but that's not me. That's not who I am. You know, like every time I get too comfortable,
was it a case of all of a sudden you got to a point where you're like, if you look 10 years in the future or 20 years in the future, you'd know exactly where you are. If you continued down this path and it's like, all right, what's next is to get married, have kids, and you could literally see the path.
Probably, yes, probably. But it's also about, okay, like Geneva is a small city. So in terms of opportunities, not all the time, but most of the time, you know, you will need to pack your stuff and go somewhere else, which is also quite a bit of a challenge because you've done that, guys, as well. You need to say goodbye to everyone, which is quite heavy and complicated. Yeah. But I like the restart as well because it gives you also like a new chance to do new things, discover new people, discover new places as well. So at some point, I had done that a lot during my studies. And I felt like after like 4 or 5 years, it was time for me to do it again. So said goodbye to everyone. Everyone was like, what? You're leaving? Really? It's like, yeah, I'm leaving. Where are you going? Dubai? Are you really going to Dubai? Yeah, because back then in 2010, Dubai was not as appealing as what it is today. You know, it was a big...
Well, no, it was just after the recession.
It was right after the recession. But on top of that, I don't like the perception, especially in Geneva and in France. You know, like French are quite stubborn as well. They have a very preconceived idea of many things. Yeah. And Dubai as well.
And they're always right.
Yes, we are.
You know the French so well.
I do.
Yes, we are. And I feel like at some point, you know, let's just go there and decide by myself if it's the right place for me or not. And I moved to Dubai. Actually worked for Shaloub here.
I'm gonna rewind it a second. How did Dubai come into the picture for you?
totally randomly. So my objective was to stay within Ralph Lauren. I wanted to move to New York, to the headquarters. But I was quite young, and I was a manager level, I think, at this time. And to move to New York, it was quite complicated because of the visa, because of, that, working in the US is not very easy all the time. So it was almost impossible for me to be relocated there. And London could have been an option as well, but it just took a bit of time. And at some point I was like, okay, it's taking time. Let's just explore the world. And I just sent my CV left and right, and I got a headhunter who connected me and was like, we got this role, it's for Dubai. It's like, okay, well, I'd never really thought about Dubai.
Did you know much of Dubai at the time?
No, not much. I'd never been here. No idea, Chalhoub was actually one of our customers, our retailers, actually distributors for the region. And they were like, it's for Chalhoub. It's to be like a brand manager for Ralph Lauren for the region. It's like, okay, let's give it a try.
Would work.
And I did my interviews on the phone at the beginning, and then I met the team in Paris for my interviews, my final round of interviews, and I got the job. I was like, holy shit.
Now I'm leaving.
And your girlfriend at the time, you were still with your girlfriend now?
Yeah.
So how did she take it?
Well, she was keen on moving as well. So she's a bit younger than me, and she had just started a career. She was working for P&G Procter in Geneva, which is a massive company in
huge.
Geneva. And she was pretty happy, but same, she's like, okay, let's give it a chance. We can have some adventure together. And she was quite lucky because she got relocated by P&G as well. So I moved first. We always do that. I go first, then she wraps up, where we are. I open up where we're going.
So you don't do the packing?
No, I don't. I receive the stuff, and then I do the packing when it comes here. So
we have a system that you've got going on.
Well, we're used to it now, so we move quite a lot. So we're quite used to it now. But no, she was keen, on moving, and moved here. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I arrived in Dubai, my first 3 months, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything.
And how did that feel? Because many people say it's quite lonely. It's a very challenging time.
It was tough. It was really tough at the beginning. A couple of times I was by myself at the hotel. I was like, why did I do it? But then I think I'm quite of a fighter as well. I'm like, you know what? I did it. I decided to do it. I will make it work. And in the end, I made it work. So I didn't stay that long at Chalhoub. I had the opportunity to actually move to Adidas after like a year, which was really good for me because closer to my the things that I liked.
I guess personality and
everything.
Identity.
Exactly. Identity, personality, hobbies, everything. I like sport a lot as well. I said watch industry as well because it was in Geneva, but I love sport as well. I love football. I love all the sports. And basically for me to have the opportunity to move and work for like the biggest sports brand in the world was amazing. Yeah. So this is where we met actually with Dan.
It was,
I was in charge of Adidas Originals, which was amazing. So we had so much fun on this job. We did a lot of things. We can work with I was talking about culture before, and I think when you work for Adidas, you have the opportunity to actually impact the culture with art, music, entertainment, skateboarding, a lot of DJ. It was awesome, and I think we had a very strong also team back then, friends as well, either within Adidas or also with the extended family. I would say the influencers, the people that worked with us as well.
Like a lot of the sports brands in this region have been very, very clever in that they have used culture as part of their marketing as opposed to the product. Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it makes a lot of sense because I really believe in the, I call it fame, fashion, art, music, entertainment, and you can put actually sport either within the entertainment bit or the fashion bit and art to a certain extent as well. So I think it connects to that quite well. And for me, that was actually just natural to be working with this brand. And that was pretty cool. Stayed there for a couple of years, 4 years at different jobs. I was working on the style part, originals. Back then, they were looking for someone who had this fashion background, but also liked sport and knew the region. So I think that was matching quite well the needs. And then I moved into more of a brand marketing role, which was more about media, PR, digital, a bit of everything for different regions, and also the activation. So the Dubai Marathon, the World Cup, working with that with the team on that.
So you didn't get much sleep.
No, but when you like it,
you don't need to. You're running on adrenaline, I guess, at that point. And enjoyment. Enjoying your job.
You're working on a great brand. You're working on a very active brand that would have had one hell of a calendar of Marcoms going on through the year. So where did you there wouldn't be much time to do anything else. Like you're out and about all the time.
No, you can always find time to do what you
Yeah.
like, I feel. And, it's a big company, so
I
you
think
got a lot of people
it's a great
as well.
thing, but I always
Yeah.
say, we get paid. Like even working with events, I know we have lots of hours and stuff, but we get paid to sort of
have fun and socialize and
in
enjoy
many
it.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
And I think have fun is a good point, actually,
Yeah.
because I feel like when you work for a brand or for a company where you can have fun on your job, time goes past much
Exactly.
faster,
Yeah.
So, no, look, I think we had the right balance between work life, and I think that was just the right time. I was younger, no kids, so a lot of things happening. Back then, we used to go out quite a lot as well. Like being hangover at work was quite okay.
It's normal back
Which is
then.
not the case anymore.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, I can't do it anymore. But I guess. No, that was a fun time. And look, at some point after 4 years here, like being, I don't know if being European is one thing or not, but for us, it was probably time to either stay in Dubai and basically like assume the fact that you will be staying here for a long time because you get used to Dubai, right? Your quality of life is pretty good. You don't do anything by yourself. You were driving your big 4x4 on Sheikh Zayed, like taking your holidays left
You get
and right.
people to drive it for you.
Yeah, you don't do grocery shopping.
Yeah.
They deliver the gas now to your car, which was not the case back then. But it's very comfortable as a life, and we all know that here.
Yeah.
So, and again, coming back to what I was saying before, like being in a situation which is too comfortable, again, you're like starting to think about this.
So this is a very similar situation from leaving Geneva. You're in
Yes.
Dubai now and you're thinking again, I'm comfortable, I want to move on.
Exactly. Screw it. Let's do something else, So we started to look around, like internally and externally, what we could do, where we could go. I had been to Hong Kong back then with my girlfriend/wife on holidays, and we loved Hong Kong. It was 2013, something like this, 12, 13. And we're like, okay, after Dubai, that's the next step. Let's go to Hong Kong. Never happened in the end. It's complicated to find a job also, when you are in Dubai, and it's quite far as well. So we never really managed to get something there. And, at some point, you can plan as much as you want, but you also need to give also like a chance to like
Gotta
make
let
through
life-
and the future
yeah.
to
Let life happen.
life,
Let
exactly.
it flow.
Exactly. And we ended up in Amsterdam. So I got a job at PVH.
Okay.
So PVH is the group which owns Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein and a few other brands. And we moved to Amsterdam, which was a big difference versus Dubai. Everyone told us, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
For different reasons. The weather, the culture, very different.
very.
Amsterdam is also very small, right? It's a
Yeah.
nice city to go on holidays, but living in Amsterdam,
Could be
when
quite
you're not from-
claustrophobic.
yeah, it could be. I guess when you're from there, or depending on your stage in your life as well, I think it could be pretty good. But pretty quick, I realized that it was probably not the right move for us. We didn't have kids, but we're like married back then with my wife. And I felt like either we were like people who were much younger than us, going out a lot, or older than us with kids. So I felt like we're just in between a little bit. And
Kind of like an awkward moment where
Yeah.
you're
Mind the
not
gap.
one of either.
exactly. And traveling also quite a lot because I was in charge of emerging markets. So going to Greece, Romania, Morocco, like a bit of everywhere, Saudi. So always on the plane, which was tiring as well. I'm not gonna lie as well. You move back to Europe, not as a very senior person as well in an organization, and your salary is not as good as what you could have had in
Yeah.
Dubai. So in terms of purchasing power, that was also quite a big hit also on us. And we're like,
But
okay,
what made you decide to say yes to the opportunity?
adventure again and trying
Yeah.
to, I feel like, especially me, like being younger, we never listen to the advices from anyone.
From
Like,
the older
okay, like,
people.
are you sure you want to go there?
You want to discover
Why
it
not?
yourself.
Yeah, you will see whether
Yeah.
it's windy, it's rainy, blah blah blah. It's okay, but it's fine. We can do it. And look, it was fun. Like it was, we had a good time. We met like some cool people as well, some nice people.
Amsterdam.
It's Amsterdam, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was always a nice time. Amsterdam is very cool in the summer. In the winter, a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
But we didn't stay that much time here in Amsterdam. We stayed like a year, I believe, because both of us got quite lucky. Actually, we just got back to our previous companies, our original companies. So my wife went back to P&G in Geneva and actually got a job back to Ralph Lauren in Geneva as well. So
you kind of gone full circle.
Full circle, exactly.
One second though, if you for having the spirit of adventure and getting itchy feet every couple of years, why go back to Geneva and not try something else?
I think that was a question of opportunity. I think that was also a question of, it was a moment where we were starting about talking about kids as well,
Okay.
Parents being not too far, family being not too far as well. I think that was the moment where we could have been like a bit more like kind of quiet position. And we decided to move back to Geneva. And
you were ready for that?
Yeah. And I was actually pretty fun to see that not much had changed in those like 5-6 years, as opposed to Dubai where we left a lot of time and we came back and
completely different.
Changed. Yeah, I'll come back to this, I guess, at some point. Yeah. But we moved back there. And then we kind of lived the married couple thingy, you buy a house, you buy you get kids, and you get a cat, and
So how did it feel every time you basically started not acquiring but took steps for stability?
We took steps for stability, yes, but I feel like I was very lucky in my job as well because I got the opportunity to work on really cool projects all the time. So I was in charge of the Polo brands in terms of brand marketing at some point. And I was also looking at all the sports partnerships as well. So I was going to Wimbledon every year, which was super cool as well.
Yeah.
And then my friends as well were there as well. So that was also a good way to have a good time.
Yeah.
And Ralph is a very solid company as well. It's a very good brand. So we just had a lot of fun doing that.
So you still had the opportunities to sort of itch that travel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
So that made it.
And the search for.
Do you know what I mean?
Adventure.
Because for me, it took me quite some time to start settling because for me, I get the itchy feet.
Yeah.
I'm like, so getting a place or getting a dog and all that.
I mean, it's quite significant. This is like laying foundations and roots.
There's yet another reason why I can't move when I want.
Yeah.
It's like
it's quite well, that was the thing. I'm like, I can't just pack up and leave now. I've got to consider this. I've got to consider that. And there's there's a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right, but I don't know. That was also a mindset maybe at a specific moment. Okay, we need we need some stability. We got twins, so we got 2 little girls. 4 years and a half now, Ella and Nora. So they were born in Geneva, and I was actually very good to be close from the family.
Especially when you got 2.
Oh yeah, that was really, really tough.
Was that a surprise?
It was a big surprise. Yeah. But that was tough. The beginning was really tough, because you have to handle 2 girls, not 2 girls, but 2 babies.
Yeah.
And you need to still be performant at work, and it was really, really tough. But we had family, so I'm very grateful about that.
What were some of the toughest moments? Because that's a big lifestyle shift.
The toughest moment is when you have 2 babies screaming, crying 24/7 for a couple of weeks, and basically you go to the office in the morning, people, they're crying. You leave your wife behind who's like, don't go. And you come back in the evening, you've been trying to deliver a bit of workout during the day, and you come back home and she's still crying, and she's like,
I'm going to kill you.
And it happened for a couple of weeks because, it depends on the kids, obviously. For us, they had some, I think it's colics. Yeah, colics.
Okay.
So that was a bit tough. Yeah. So it was a bit tough on them. But then it became really good. And I think actually to have 2 kids now is really a blessing at the same time because it's done as well.
It's done.
Most people try for 2, but there's always a gap between.
Yeah. And they're amazing. They speak together, they play together, and so on.
How did you feel? Well, couple, how did you feel? 1, when you realized they were twins.
Yeah.
And 2, when you actually held the 2.
Well, when we realized that we were going to have twins, we were super happy. And for some reason, I always said to my wife that we were going to have twins. We don't have any twins in the family, so that was really weird.
Did you feel it? Was it intuition or?
It's super weird. I don't know where
we just sort of knew.
Yeah, really, really bizarre. And we got twins. So, and we were just super happy about this. And the first time that you see them, you're like, whoa, and clearly, like, it's like, wow, yeah, it's two little, like, shrimps, like, very little.
Must have been terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, but you don't really have the time to think about this, to be honest. They're here, and then you need to...
You're going to deal with it.
Yeah, you need to deal with it. And,
how soon were you guys home with the babies?
I would say, 1 week, maybe, something like this. I don't remember exactly. I would say 1 week. Yeah, 1 week.
Sometimes you want to stay in the hospital. You're like, I want to stay with this infrastructure. Or you go home,
support.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also want to be back in your bubble because, like, hospital, like sleeping in the hospital
It's not great.
Yeah, and Geneva, the hospitals are very good and so on. But still, like being home by yourself. And I feel like when you go out of the hospital, you also want to reconnect as a family as well.
Yeah,
which is
a bit
what
space and time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what we did for a couple of days. And you got family visiting, but still, our families were very respectful, giving us time and space as well. So we've got the best families as well. Honestly, so that was really good. And and then and then COVID hit. COVID happened in when was that? 2020.
Basically.
3 years
February,
ago.
March 2020. It all
Yeah,
sort
exactly.
Of
So
really...
they were a year and a half, the girls, and working from home was actually pretty good. We were very lucky because...
So they were a year and a half when COVID hit?
Yes,
okay.
Correct. I think so. There was small. I think there was because we were born in October. I'm lost in the times.
Yeah.
Everyone is during this period, I guess. But I think that was actually for us. It was actually a pretty good moment because work was pretty quiet for a while because like furlough and everything, so for a couple of weeks, so we could really like reconnect together. We had the chance to have like a garden. The weather was amazing, and we could also like connect with our neighbors, who were our friends back then as well. So we had a great time.
So it's a good positive experience for it.
Yes, it's a bit of it ends up being a bit of a blessing for you because you actually got to see your babies.
Yeah, exactly.
And spend quality time.
Because normally you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Before.
So, well, not in the same capacity.
Yeah. So Ralph was pretty nice because they gave us 1 full month of paternity leave. So I took that away when they were born, which was great. But then, exactly, to spend like a couple of weeks, really the 4 of us. I think that was great because you can never do that otherwise,
No.
like it's impossible. So I think that was really a good moment. We all agree that COVID was terrible for many different reasons, but at least for this,
it was a positive.
That was a positive element for us. And that's the moment where we decided to, we were living in a very cool place. We're living it was a small castle actually at the border of Geneva, which was split into different apartments, and we're all living together, like pretty cool young people, like a couple. So we were like doing barbecues in the garden. My wife is also like a yoga instructor, so she was giving yoga like lessons to the other people during COVID as well, which was honestly a good time.
Yeah.
And at this time, we realized that living in a, let's say, in a bubble with other people is fun, but maybe it's also time for us to build our own house. So actually, right after COVID, we bought a piece of land and we started to build a house with the willingness to actually move there at some point. And in between, I got bored.
It's like a reoccurring pattern.
There's that it.
Exactly. Again, and this is where this like discussion happened. Okay, internally, shall we go back? I wanted to say Ralph Lauren, but okay, I was do we move to New York? Do we move to Hong Kong? Because there was the big offices for Ralph. There was London, Geneva, New York, and Hong Kong, the big offices. And I had a great job. That was really cool. I was working on all the special projects for Ralph. So like collaboration with like Keith, Browns, Zalando, ASOS. Again, the sports partnerships as well. Great management that I had. Cool colleagues as well. On paper, nothing to complain about again, and my wife had a good job. She was working for L'Occitane, like the cream, the skin beauty brand. Again, like family, friends, everything, can't complain, but, exactly.
Still looking for something else.
What do we do? So I had a chat with my boss. I was like, okay, could we think about maybe like moving to New York or Hong Kong? And Hong Kong, I think, is a bit different today versus 2013 as well.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, sure, we can look into something for you, but, think about, like, your family now, so...
Because your priorities are different now.
Yeah, exactly. You need to think about, like, the schools and the holidays and the taxes and everything. It's like, yeah, think about this, give it a go, and tell me what you think. And it's true, when you put things together, like, maybe it's not the right moment. Maybe later, you know.
So how old were the girls at that stage when you started thinking?
It was back in so when are we now? 2023. That was in 2021, I would say.
Okay, so that would have been about
couple of years
2 years,
2 years
and something.
old?
Yeah, exactly.
So still time to be able to travel, not not quite have to worry about school as such.
But thinking about it,
but start thinking about it. But like you could have gone. Well, you could have gone.
Because you might be there for a
years
few
and come
years.
back
If you
again,
if you're going to be there any longer, then you have to put them in school.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you need to think about. You need to be very pragmatic as well. You know, like about like your work permit for your wife as well. This kind of stuff. You know, going to the US is not an easy one.
No,
you know?
not
like
at all.
It's
Not
complicated. And same in Europe when you're not European to move to Europe, it's not an easy one as well. So it's all those considerations that you need to take into consideration. And basically, I was not too sure, you know, and so I was starting to look for a job, not super intensively, but still, you know, like a little bit. And at some point, I got the opportunity to move to Dyson, which I never thought about.
I was going to say, that's quite random.
Yeah, because it's a complete shift from the world of like fashion and that cultural lifestyle.
So yes and no, I don't think so. I think it's yes in terms of product, obviously.
Yeah. But it's still luxury.
Voilà. Yeah, you're talking about like the same target group. You're talking about a product. For me, Dyson is beyond like just like the technology. It's also like a super like a desirable brand.
Aesthetic.
Yeah. I would compare totally Dyson to like Apple, Tesla. You know, like this is this kind of brands. Very premium.
And innovative,
groundbreaking. And this is the things that really like interested me, you know, when I started to do the interviews for it. And you know, I told my office like, I got this potential opportunity to move back to Dubai for Dyson. She was like, it's never gonna happen. I was like, okay, let's try, because she was not too keen to move back at this stage because she was in a very comfortable place with a job and with like everything that we said before, and still went for the interviews. And every step, so I was like, yeah, you know what, it's going pretty well, you know, like I don't know, I kind of feel it, you know. And I had a good connections with my current manager, and ultimately I got the job. And you know, when you get the contract in front of you, and you're like, okay, what do we do? Do
what
we
now?
take it?
Yeah, do we not?
Or do we just scratch it and say, okay, fine, that was fun, but actually we'll stay in Geneva because we have a good life.
Yeah.
And we decided to actually do it again.
Yeah.
So
what tipped the scales?
I think that was the adventure element.
But it's coming back to somewhere you've been. So you
Yeah, but
can
in a
argue,
very-
is it still an adventure?
Yes, I think it is for different reasons, because now we've got kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a completely different
it's a
experience.
different adventure.
Completely
It's
different.
different adventure, and everything is different. Like many areas of Dubai are very different.
Yeah. There's whole new areas of Dubai.
Yeah, like we
completely
live in
different.
an area which was not existing when we were there before, you know. So the whole city is different. The demographics are different as well. The atmosphere is different. Our needs are different as well. Like I would say, I will not care as much as before about like the nightlife and this kind of stuff. Brunches. I have not been brunching for the past year and a half since I arrived. So there was no time.
Yeah.
And not no time, but like no desire to do it.
Because your priorities are different now.
Because the priorities are different, exactly. So I would say that yes, it was a matter of being adventurous again in a different environment, having kids to take care of as well. And for me, I always wanted to give my kids an international education as well.
Yeah.
I think that I've been surrounded by expats my whole career now. And I feel like the people who have the chance to live abroad, to meet like different cultures, I think their mind is so much more open. And that's what we wanted to give to our kids.
And that would have been more challenging being based in France, I assume.
Geneva, Geneva you can, because Geneva is also very international. But still, if you don't want to be involved and like immersed within the international environment, you don't have to.
Okay.
Meaning that, let's say that everything is in French. Your team is in French. People around you are French speaking most of the time. Okay, you got a lot of people working for P&G, the United Nations, who are like.
Actually, there's some big organizations there.
Yeah, we've got pretty big ones for sure. So it's true that when you walk in the city in Geneva, you hear a lot of English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Arab, a lot of languages.
Yeah.
But being French, it's not so much an adventure.
It's
I
not
would
enough.
say.
Yeah.
It's probably not enough. I'm sure it will be again at some point, because I think in terms of quality of life in Europe, I don't think there is better than Geneva. maybe there is in Southern Europe. Who knows? Let's see. But
the next adventure.
Who knows?
4 years time.
But that's the thing. We always try to plan, but in the end, we never really managed to really follow what we were planning.
Yeah.
Like again, coming back to Dubai was not really an objective. There was more an opportunity. Moving to Amsterdam was not an objective. It was an opportunity. Moving to Dubai the first time, same. That was not an objective. That was again a chance that we took. So sometimes we talk, with my husband, okay, what's next? Do we want to stay longer in Dubai? Do we want to move somewhere else? Do we want to do a world tour? There's many things on the table at the moment, and we're not in a rush. Like, okay, you know what? Inshallah, we'll see how things are going to go. But to come back to your question, I think, like coming back to Dubai with kids, I think that was also like playing it safe in terms of adventure because it's a safe environment, because schools are pretty decent. I think they're pretty good. For them, at least at their age, to try to understand. It's very multicultural. Their teacher is Indian. Their assistant teacher is from Philippines. Their nanny is from Sri Lanka. Their best friend is from Saudi.
So they're exposed to all this culture at a very young age.
It's so cool. Sometimes they come home, they're like, ni hao. Like,
what?
You speak Chinese? Like, it's like this girl from school. She told me that in Chinese to say hi. That was this. Like, wow, how cool is that?
It honestly is one of the best gifts you can give your kids. Like, it's the one thing that I've been grateful to my parents for giving me.
Yeah,
100%. And I would say also the language as well, because I feel like when you grow up in France, in a French environment, learning English is not always the easiest. I think the way, at least in my generation, the way we used to learn English was a bit rubbish. Yeah. So I feel like, you learn how to speak English when you move abroad. And I see it now, they've been here, so they moved to Dubai in August, like 8 months ago. And they speak a very good English now. And sometimes they correct me with my accent. I still have a very heavy accent, as you can hear. But they come to me like, no, you should not say hi, it's hi. Like, what? You're 4.5.
I've just been
4.5. Try to tell dad what to do.
Exactly. Yeah. To speak French? Yeah. Okay. So it's.
But that must make you feel really proud.
Yeah. I'm super happy about that. So no, I think that was the right decision that we took to come here. It's not always easy because obviously the family is far, and sometimes like it's a bit complicated for them to see their grandparents as well. But our parents come as well from time to time. We're lucky to have them they're in a good shape. They're young. They are like dynamic, and they want to come here as well. And they're happy to come here in Dubai.
It's not as far. It's not too far.
No, it's direct flight.
Yeah.
I feel like when it's direct flight, you can really handle it, and the time difference is nothing as well. So you can, it's manageable very easily. So that's where we are today. We grateful to be here, grateful to be in Dubai, because I still believe that Dubai today is one of the best cities in the world for many reasons. And how
does it feel second time round?
It feels. It
must be completely different from obviously when you were here, just from like a physical point of view, because it's evolved so much, but also from like your own personal circumstances,
Yeah. For some reason, I moved first by myself in Feb. For Valentine's, left my wife behind and my kids behind.
She was doing the packing.
I'm
Happy
not gonna
Valentine's
lie.
Day.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like leaving everyone behind, like early Feb was really hard. Yeah. But I did a few back and forth, during those 6 months, and she came as well. But it was pretty hard. Leaving was hard. Once you're on the plane, it was okay. Then obviously you had some time, so I was a bit like, why am I doing this? Again, is it like really the right thing? But yeah, good. And then you again together, and then it's easier. What's the question again? How does it feel? How did it feel? It felt like, for some weird reason, like being home again.
Okay.
When you land in Dubai, I don't know if you feel that as well, but I feel when you land in Dubai, the smell at the airport, the colors, everything, you're like,
you sort of exhale, don't you?
Yeah.
It's the weirdest feeling. It's that you exhale. Yeah.
You just seen this. There's a lot of Instagram videos at the moment where you see people who are actually getting outside of their bodies actually when they land in Dubai. It was a bit of the same feeling. It was like, oh, okay, it's actually feeling like being home. But then, okay, you need to start looking for a house. You need to start looking for a car and everything. Start everything over again. And and then you remember that was a bit of a pain, to set up everything, your visa, your bank account.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but at least from the first time.
Easier than the last time you were here, though.
Much easier. Much easier. It didn't take me that much time to actually get around everything. I think in 2 months, I had everything covered. So the house, the car, like the visas, like everything was covered. Then we had friends from before that left and came back as well, same as us. Then you make new friends as well.
Yeah.
And you discover the city in a different way again, you discover playgrounds, discover those places.
It's a
where
completely
you had
different
no
experience
idea.
from before.
Yeah, very different. And I feel like also Dubai became much more sustainable as a city as well. You see, like people are cycling a bit more around, which was one of the things which we're not too sure about, because at least in Geneva, like there's a very strong sustainability, mindset from everyone. You're very careful what you consume. You need to be sustainable in your life pretty much. And in Dubai, 2010, 2014, it was not really the case.
Yeah.
Now, still not fully there yet, but you see
It's
there's
moving.
a lot of efforts from the brand, from the city, and from the people as well. So I think they're going there. And what shocked me is that everyone is so entrepreneur here.
Yeah.
But look at you guys, first of all. Dan, like what you built here as well is amazing. And I feel like every time you speak to someone here, they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this job, but I'm also doing this, and this, and this too.
There's a hustle.
What?
Yeah.
How are you managing to do this?
Yeah.
And I think it's also something which is also like giving you energy, I feel, And it's a great feeling, I feel.
Yeah. So what's next?
No idea.
You're sticking around for a while.
Who knows? Yeah,
Until your itchy feet again.
Could you see yourself calling Dubai home?
My whole life, you mean?
Well, let's not go as far as retirement, but for like the kids to...
For now.
I think that no matter what happens, I feel like Dubai will always be home, no matter what happens. Staying in Dubai, look, I don't know. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, could leave Dubai in 2 months, could stay in Dubai for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Again, we learned that planning was not always the easiest. I never really managed to make it work. So why not? Clearly, but also, like if there is something cool somewhere else at some point, always keep your eyes open. I think it's important to not be too stubborn. I think it's important. I'm talking about, like before, for the kids to be like open-minded. And I think this is what we're trying to do here, to be here as well, be open-minded about what's next.
Yeah.
And let's see, I'm going to be 40 actually in September, which is quite a milestone here.
It gets better. I like being in my 40s. It's a good age.
Yeah. I don't really care, to be honest. I think age is a number in the end. But it also feels like if you want to do something a bit crazy, it's also the moment to do it,
Yeah.
So who knows, I don't close any doors to anything. We don't close any doors to anything with my wife, and we'll see, inshallah, again.
There you go. We're gonna keep an eye out for your crazy then.
Yeah. Boris, thank you so much for joining us for the conversation.
You're welcome.
It was really nice to hear your
very
story.
cool. Welcome
was
back.
fun, yeah. Thanks.
Welcome
Say hi
back.
to the family.
I will, for sure. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cool.
Welcome to Rooted Within with Lili and Dan, a podcast that shines a spotlight on positive change makers sharing their stories of legacy, inspiration, and impact.